Hey y'all, welcome to Fitting and Homemaking. My name is Sarah and I am excited because today we are going to be checking 2 items off of my to-do list that are small home repairs. So the first one is going to be fixing the weather stripping on the top of this door. I'll get a closer up view of it, but essentially when it is sunny outside, you can actually see the sun coming in from about here to here. So that obviously means that the weather stripping is no longer working. So we're going to replace the weather stripping on the top there. And then the second item, it hasn't been on my list for as long as replacing this weather stripping has, but it's a little bit more urgent. We are going to go into my kid's bathroom, and the light switch there, when you turn it off, sometimes it still stays on. So that's a little bit of a scary, let's fix that kind of more immediately fix. So that will be the second item that we are doing today. So let's go ahead and let's get started with switching out this weather stripping. I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a closer look here. All right, so I was hoping you'd be able to see the light coming through, but you just can't. It's too cloudy today. But this is the weather stripping at the top that we're going to replace. Not sure if you can tell from the video, but from about here to here, it's like just kind of squashed. Maybe from the bottom view you can tell a little bit better. But that is the part that needs to be replaced. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so obviously to replace this, I'm going to need something to replace it with. This is the same type of weather stripping that is on the top. It has this part that slides into, there's a little bit of a slot in the door frame, and then this part will hang down. And when the door closes, it should mesh like that, right? Pretty simple. Now, obviously this is really tall. I don't need all of this, I just need to do the top. The weather stripping on the sides is absolutely fine. So I'm going to lazy measure, and I'm just gonna pull the piece off that we don't need anymore, and then match it up with this new piece and cut that amount. So you can see that was pretty simple. And it's slightly different, but it has that piece that goes in. So hopefully this piece will fit just as well. Let me go get something to cut with because I did not think about that before I started. All right, I'm gonna try using these snips here. Okay. Would normally use this for like wire cutting or metal, but let's see. So about there. Okay. That looks like it's about the same length to me. All right, and this, sorry guys, the camera work on this is probably crappy, but this is the part here that's gonna slide into that slot. All right, y'all, I am very sweaty now because the garage is not air conditioned as are most garages. All right, y'all, I am super sweaty now. I had to stop filming because it was just taking way too long. So I thought this was going to be the easiest little house project. You just pull the old weather stripping out, slot the new one in, and it's good. So I didn't have too much trouble getting the edges of the weather stripping in, but my goodness, this middle part. So the new one, let me show you here. Oops, I have the chair on it. All right, so this old one, obviously this is pretty worn here, but it's also all just squashy rubber. On this new one, there is, this bit is a hard plastic bit. These other bits are more of like the softer rubber. But yeah, that was a tight fit. And the only way that I kept myself going was thinking about very inappropriate jokes of a sexual nature about new things and it being hard to fit things in them. So that's why I stopped filming for a while. But it is in there now. My hands are going to be sore tomorrow, my fingers from pushing it in, because I tried like hammering it in a little bit with a hammer, but there's not enough leeway up here. But this is in. You can see it is kind of much more pronounced than the old stuff. And when I close the door, first of all, slightly more difficult to close because it has, you know, more weather stripping up here, but I can no longer see light coming in from outside. So that's good. Let's move on to our second project, and hopefully this one is not as difficult. So I have confidence that it will not be, because I have actually done a little bit of electrical work. Obviously not an electrician. This is not a how-to. I swear that took me like 15 or 20 minutes just to get that in that little slot, which is why I was not going to bore you guys with filming that. So I'm going to clean this area up. Let's go take a look at the other space and get going on that. All right, so here we are in the kids' bath, and we have an issue with the light switch. So I'm going to show you what that issue is now. It is in the off position, but it is not off. But if you give it a little tap, then it goes off. So that's a little bit scary. I don't like electrical stuff not working properly. So I have some wire cutters. I have a replacement switch. I think we'll be able to fix it using the switch that is actually here, but I wanted to have one just in case. And these are like literally like $1 at the store. And then I have my screwdriver and I have my let's not get electrocuted tester, okay? So first of all, I'm going to turn this light off and we'll go to the breaker box and turn the breaker off for this part of the house. All right, here's our lovely breaker box in the garage. So we have replaced the light fixture in there. So it says nursery and bath 2 on this line. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, let's go see if that did it. Okay, so if everything goes well, this should not work. Great. So hopefully this is enough light from my phone recording, but we are just going to take off the faceplate. Drop your screws all over the floor. All right. And I do have a little towel sitting on the countertop over here that y'all can't see. All right, fantastic. Turn this on. Yay. Green means there's no electricity. All right, nothing that I'm gonna check next. Is any power to it? Let's take off the light switch. And I have a feeling so I can see these screws over here. I don't know if you guys can see that well from where you are. Let me get this out and then I can see if I can get you a better closer up view, because you don't really need to see my face while I'm doing this or anything. Come on out. All right. All right. Do I have a little bit of leeway in here? Oh, this is so crammed back. Might have to take this other one off just so I can get access to how crunched in the wires are back here. But we're not going to mess with the wires on this other one because it works just fine. Just goes to the fan in here. Oh, that's got a thing. A thing meaning like a little washer on the other side that holds the screw in there. Does it have one too? Yes, it does. All right, so I'm just gonna pull this out so I can have access to these wires a little bit more because it is really shoved back here. All right, so this one we're not gonna mess with. Okay, let me bring you guys a little bit closer. Okay, so they were crammed in here and I had to take this one out just because so much of the wire was crammed behind there. I wasn't getting enough play to do anything with these. But as you can see, these are going into the little tabs in the back. And based on my very minimal amount of researching this, because like I said before, I have done like switching out light fixtures and fans and stuff, so I know like just really basic electrical stuff. I see. It looks like this part here is cracked. So if you do like the fast wiring by just putting it in these slots instead of looping it around here, sometimes those come disconnected a little bit. Since this part is cracked, I think I am going to replace this instead of just looping it, like rewiring it around the external screws here. So let me unhook these, and these are just wire strippers with a wire cutter. So I'm just going to cut these wires. All right, and we will use our new one. So it goes this way. And let's see. Trying to pull the insulation off of here. There we go. All right, that was maybe about that much. So I'm just scoring the insulation around this and then pulling it off the wire. I don't think I scored that one well enough. Oh, that was just my checker to make sure that saying it was going to turn off. All right. So what we're going to do, where's my new one? This is a new one because it's not broken in any way. So on these, it also has these little holes in it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to bend these wires. Actually, even though I was a little bit touching them before, just make sure. Amazing. I'm going to bend these wires into a little J shape. Come on. like that so I can hook them around the screws on the outside of this. All right, I had to pause for just a second, but we are now going to attach these to the new ones. All right, so you want to hook them around so that when you are screwing them in, and I just made sure I kept track. This was the one that was on the top before, and this was the one that was on the bottom before, right? Sorry if my head's getting in the way. I need to... Wires are kind of stiff. Get on there, buddy. There it goes. So now, oh, no. There we go. All right. That's the biggest struggle I have with this. That's going to be fantastic. So these are hooked around so that when I screw them in, the screws are kind of going to grab it, rather than if I had looped it in the other way, they're going to want to try to back out when I screw this in. But let's go ahead and screw this in. Sorry, I definitely should have gotten a drink between doing that weather stripping and doing this, because it was so hot in that garage. All right. Make sure that's on there and has a good connection. Nice and tight, so it's not gonna be loose in any way. Okay. Now we're gonna shove all of this stuff back in there. Get these lined up. So much extra wire back there. But with electrical stuff, I don't kind of like screw around more than I need to with it. So we're just shoving all that wire back in there. All right, let me get the bottom part of this lined up. Get out of the way, you. All right, I'm just gonna put these in loosely for now. So I'm gonna check before tightening them all the way that the faceplate is fitting on properly. That these are mostly in the same place that they were before. And this one's going to go in a little crookedly. There, that's getting a little bit better. All right, so that's in there kind of loosely. All right, now for the new guy. I bet whatever made that plastic bit crack, it messed with that connection a little bit. All right, that one's lined up. That one sticks up a little bit more, but as you can see, there's kind of like some play side to side in these. So let's get our front plate. Just make sure that they fit okay. And this one's a little bit too far over that way, so let's see if we can scooch it over just a little bit. All right, let's try that. Much better. Want to make sure that these are secured. All right, y'all, now it is time to put the faceplate back on. And hopefully I've gotten these close enough to where they're supposed to go, where this goes back on smoothly, and I won't need to readjust too much. All right, that one's going in the hole. That one's going in. Here's the true test. Do the ones on this side go in? Uh-oh. There it goes. That one's going in. Perfect. All right, and sorry for the little cut there, but I had to attend a meeting for work. That weather stripping took me so long that I ran out of time to finish up this in one take for y'all. All right, so I'm making sure that I'm not over tightening these screws because I don't want to crack the faceplate. And I used to like help out my dad with stuff and watch him do things, and he always would joke about, you need to have these vertical so then dust won't gather them. That's how you know it's been a good job, you know. So here we go. Let's go turn the breaker back on and see if it works. All right, here we are at the breaker box again. Flip that guy. Close her up, and let's go check inside. All right, y'all, here is the moment of truth. Does it work after turning that breaker back on? Yay, the light comes back on. The fan works. Would expect the fan to work since we didn't actually mess with any of the wiring, but that did have that fast wiring on it, so I just wanted to make sure nothing got jostled loose. And let's see if it turns off. All right, because that was the problem before. I'm super happy with that. This was something that I was actually pretty concerned about because it felt like if there's a loose connection with electricity, that makes me nervous, right? And if something is supposed to turn off and it's not turning off, that means that something's happening with that connection. All right, y'all, that's it for today's video. Thank you for joining me and giving me the motivation to tackle a couple of these small home repairs. The light switch was actually kind of an urgent fix that needed to happen anyway, but the weather stripping, that has been on my list for forever, and honestly, I thought that was going to be a really easy warm-up to do to get myself motivated to do the light switch, and that weather stripping was a bitch to install. I'm going to be completely honest with you, as I'm sure that you saw before. But if you like watching videos about homemaking, including doing small repairs around your house, please subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. I am trying to grow the channel and build a nice community here. I've been so excited lately that I have seen more people commenting, so hop down in the comments and we can have a conversation down there. And thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. I will see you next time. Bye.